Hi, it's Erica. I'm back. So, it's the end of another day, and so kind of bored. So I thought I'd make a video about one little part of this book called An Open Letter to Confused Catholics. Just a section on the Mass. Today I went to this, the Brigantine Monks. It's this little cute place in Amity, Oregon, and this priest is visiting from Colorado from an FSSP, church, and it was so beautiful, and there was just like 6 of us participating in Mass, and but the homily was amazing. It was all about this Saint Jean something or other that was under Francis de Sales, and his whole homily was about being an obedient wife and a subservient woman. And I was like, when it all goes down, brave priests like that man are the ones that they're going after. I wish all priests were that brave to talk about things like, the role of a woman and the role of a man, and I'm sure he also talks about all the other controversial Catholic stuff, but I just thought I'd share that little thing because it made me happy to see a good FSSP priest. But other than that, just homeschooling and kids and cooking and cleaning and errands and all that stuff. So yeah, I will read just a little more about why the Latin Mass is amazing, but it's not like specifically, it's kind of just the changes that have happened that are absolutely horrifying for me to read about. I have before me some photos published in Catholic newspapers representing the Mass as it is now often said. Looking at the first photo, I find it difficult to understand at what moment of the Holy Sacrifice it has been taken. Behind an ordinary wooden table, which does not appear very clean, and which has no cloth covering it, 2 persons wearing suits and ties elevate or present one chalice, the other ciborium. The text informs me they are priests, one of them the federal chaplain of Catholic Action. On the same side of the table, close to the first celebrant, are 2 girls wearing trousers, and near the second celebrant 2 boys in sweaters. A guitar is placed against a stool. In another photo, the scene is the corner of a room which might be the main room of a youth club. The priest is standing, wearing a taizé-like alb, before a milking stool, which serves as an altar. There is a large earthenware bowl and a small mug of the same sort, together with 2 lighted candle ends. 5 young people are sitting cross-legged on the floor, one of them strumming a guitar. The third photo shows an event which occurred a few years ago, the cruise of some ecologists who were seeking to prevent the French atomic experiments on the Isle of Mururoa. Amongst them was a priest who celebrated Mass on the deck of the sailing ship in the company of 2 other men. All 3 were wearing shorts. One was even stripped to the waist. The priest is raising the host, no doubt for the elevation. He is neither standing nor kneeling, but sitting, or rather slumped against the boat's superstructure. One common feature emerges from these scandalous pictures. The Eucharist is reduced to an everyday act, in commonplace surroundings, with commonplace utensils, attitudes, and clothing. Now, the so-called Catholic magazines, which are sold on church bookstalls, do not show these photos in order to criticize such ways, but on the contrary, to recommend them. La Vie even considers that that is not enough. Mind you, this was written like probably a good 50 years ago. But the point is still the same. La Vie even considers that that is not enough, using it in its habitual manner extracts from readers' letters to express its own thoughts without having them attributed to itself. It says, the liturgical reform must go further. The unnecessary repetitions, the same form of words ever repeated, all this regulation holds back creativeness. What ought the mat to be? The following gives a hint. Our problems are... What ought the Mass to be? The following gives a hint. Our problems are manifold, our difficulties increasing, and the Church still seems to be remote from them. Often we come out of Mass tired. There is a sort of gap between our daily life, our present worries, and the sort of life suggested to us on Sundays. So that's what this magazine is saying. Certainly, people come away from a Mass tired, which strives to bring itself down to the level of mankind, instead of raising them up to God, and which, because it is wrongly conceived, does not permit them to rise above their problems. The encouragement given to go even further demonstrates a deliberate intention to destroy what is sacred. And we also have evidence that this is true by the fact that Protestants helped create the new liturgy, and Protestants hate our way of looking at the Eucharist as a propitiatory sacrifice. So they took out the word propitiatory, and they also took out the word sacrifice multiple times, and they made it more of a all these liberal modernist minds are trying to make it more of just a symbol and just a meal and a thanksgiving and praise, but no propitiatory sacrifice. No, he paid for our sins with his death, his brutal, violent death. No, like, we're sorry for, like, please, it's ridiculous. Anyways, where was I? Oh, and then the demons in some of these exorcisms have admitted that, like, they're receiving on the hand, and I think I've already said that, but there's just so much evidence that they're actually, like you said, trying to destroy what is sacred. The Catholic is there dispossessed of something which he needs and longs for, because he is drawn to honor and revere all which relates to God. How much more is this the case with the elements of the sacrifice which are to become his body and blood? So, they're taking away says he's dispossessed of something that he needs and longs for. That's why these Catholics these days are tired at Mass, because, I mean, if you don't have what you're longing for there, and it's boring, and what we need, the Eucharist. Anyways, why make hosts that are gray or brown by leaving in part of the bran? Are they trying to make us forget that phrase omitted from the new offertory? A phrase they took out of the new offertory and the new Mass. Hanc immaculatum hostiam. This immaculate and spotless host. That, however, is merely a minor innovation. I'm sick, and I have to sneeze. Okay, it passed. I hate when that happens. We frequently hear of the consecration of ordinary bread leavened with yeast instead of the pure wheat flour prescribed, the exclusive use of which has been, again, reiterated in the papal instruction in A Estimabile Donum. All bounds have now been passed. There has even been an American bishop who recommends little cakes containing milk, eggs, baking powder, honey, and margarine. The desacralization extends to the persons vowed to the service of God. Obviously, now look at our church with all these scandals, money scandals, the homosexual scandals, and it's from it's from the breaking down of the church and the Eucharist. I guarantee extends to the persons vowed to the service of God with the disappearance of the ecclesiastical habit for priests and religious, the use of Christian names, familiarity, and secularized way of living, all in the name of a new principle and not, as they have tried to make us believe, for practical needs. Yes, exactly. And God bless them, my priests at my old church, you're not allowed to call them Canon Luke or whatever. You have to say Canon with their last name. It's amazing. And they told my kids why, and that their hands are consecrated. Their hands bring us Jesus, and they become Jesus in the sacraments. Like, why wouldn't we respect them? Like, we're not on par with them. They're not supposed to, like, be our equals. This is ridiculous. I will never again call a priest by his first name. And if he insists, I'm going to make him feel really special and be like, no, you're Jesus up there. Your hands are consecrated. And I'm sure they'll just laugh and be like, whatever. Anyway, that happened the other day. That's why I'm laughing. Anyway, excuse me. The new principle. In proof of which I mentioned those nuns. Oh yeah, all these priests and nuns that like don't wear their... These Latin Mass priests came to dinner at my house in full, like, you know, cassock things, whatever they're called, from like here all the way, the dress ones to the ground with the big old, you know, white. And my neighbors are outside. It was great. I was like, yes, I'm having some amazing priests in dresses come into my house. Anyways, you know, like, and if they were just in normal clothes, I wouldn't have been able to, like, have a conversation later with my neighbors about how some priests came to my house and plant that seed or whatever. But anyway, and then nuns. There was this nun that my mom didn't know was a nun for a year that came to daily mass at my church. And then all of a sudden, one day she learned that she was a nun, but she was just wearing pants and like a collared shirt like this to mass. Anyway. In proof of which I mentioned those nuns who leave their enclosure to live in rented flats in town, thereby doubling their expenses, abandoning the veil, and incurring the cost of regular sessions at their hairdressers. Wow. The lost nuns going to a hairdresser, I thought that they're supposed to abandon the world. Oh my goodness. The loss of what is sacred leads also to sacrilege. A newspaper in the west of France informs us that the national contest for band girls was held in 1980 in the Vendée region of France. A mass took place during which the band girls danced, and some of them then distributed communion. Moreover, the ceremony was finished off with a rondelay in which the celebrant took part wearing priest's vestments. It is not my intention here to establish a catalogue of the abuses that are to be met with, but to give a few examples showing why Catholics today have so much at which to be perplexed and even scandalized. I am revealing nothing secret. The television has taken upon itself to spread in people's homes during their Sunday morning programs the inadmissible offhandedness that the bishops publicly display with regard to the body of Christ. Witness that Mass televised November 22nd, 1981, where the ciborium was replaced by baskets, which the congregation passed from one to another, to be finally placed on the floor with what remained of the sacred species. And we're just okay with this kind of behavior. People going up there and receiving on the hand, like Jesus is there, and you're just wiping him on your clothes. In Poitiers on Holy Thursday the same year, a big spectacular celebration consisted of the indiscriminate consecration of loaves and jugs of wine upon the tables from which everyone came and helped himself. It's disgusting. It absolutely sickens me that these things have happened and are still happening with these, like, I don't know when the last liturgical dance was or where it was, or like these, everyone is still receiving on the hand, standing up, and the Protestant music being played that's like that song, Mary, Did You Know? That was played at one of my masses in Illinois. Mary, did you know? And then it goes on to say things, and there's a line or two in that song, Mary, Did You Know? That's completely against Catholic doctrine. It's crazy. It's crazy. And priests making jokes, all sorts of abuses. I can't even deal with it. But they know not what they do. This is why I'm here, trying to spread the word to you, dear people, so that the more I'm learning, like, I know that I seem passionate about it now, but I'm just learning all this stuff. Like, I didn't even know it all before, like, a few months ago. And I know, I don't even know, I'm going to keep learning for the rest of my life. But, I don't know. Point being, I'm not judging anyone, because I didn't know a few months ago. So, concerts of secular music held in churches are now generalized. Yeah, I've been to those masses with rock bands in Hawaii. Rock bands, like drums, everything. He's consecrating the bread and wine. We're joining in to the sacrifice of the cross. Like, we are supposed to be like Mary and John at the foot of the cross during the crucifixion. If you were at the foot of the cross, would you be drumming and playing a banjo or a guitar? No, I don't understand. Gregorian chant is the only music that is acceptable for being at Calvary. Like, it's wholesome, gentle, beautiful, soft, glorious. It's everything that brings you up to God. Like, or anything old, all that old music.